All right. Judd'z Budz, episode 121, sponsored by Life Sucks. As always, your host, Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Hoppy. Hoppy, what the fuck is going on?
Hey, dude, no free ads.
Yeah, no, good point. Fuck. What's going on with you?
Dude, life sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm coming off of just over a week now of household COVID. Had a power outage, and then today had like hour and a half on the phone dealing with losers that work in the same industry as you. So super just fun, like all around. But now I have alcohol, and I have someone that's generally speaking somehow more depressed than me. So
yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's like it's the episode of SpongeBob. Hey, Patrick, are you mad too? Yeah. Well, what are you mad about? I can't see my forehead. And he's just like, that's how I'm feeling right now. Literally, the past 30 minutes, everything I fucking owned just broke that I like desperately needed to just do anything. Fixed most of the things after breaking other things on purpose. The apartment's a shit show. There's another fucking fly, motherfuckers. There's another one. They're fucking everywhere. But anyways, we're just angry. So last week we had Ryan Suter giving us energy. This is just rage. So I was tired before, no longer. I am untethered, and my rage knows no bounds, as Dennis would say. But anyways, oh my god, there's another goddamn fly. Just killed that bare hand. Suck on that.
Incredible.
So this episode, we're talking about nothing that's in the title. This will be
yes, we're going to talk about it
a little bit, I guess. Mostly 2025. Way too early look ahead. But before we get there, just taking a breath. Talk to you about Dean Evason.
Is that what we're going into first?
I have no idea. I just saw that in the title. I was like,
we have an outline for a reason, but we can do Dean. I mean, he's a finalist for Columbus, which just bizarro world that McClellan like was the front runner, was picked, and then all of a sudden something fell apart. I don't know if it was him like deciding he didn't want it, or Kings just being like, no, you're going to take his whole salary or screw off. But now it's down to Dean and, what's his name that is probably really pissed off and kicking rocks that he got booted from Edmonton, and they're an absolute wagon now.
Interesting.
You're not aware of this?
No, I'm not. I haven't looked at anything. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. The
biggest reason Wild fans care is because 2 of the first 3 games, I'm pretty sure, this year are against Columbus. That could be super fun. But also, everyone's pretty much hitched their hopes to the wagon that this could get Freddie Gaudreau traded to Columbus. Even Russo is like, yeah, like if there's a chance he's getting traded, this is probably the best one. It's like, oh shit, like that. There's a real love affair there. Plus, gets to join his brother Johnny. So
yeah, exactly. They're blood. It's no longer a bit. Like when Russo throws it up there, all right, so now the whole NA, like everyone's in on this. I guess it's not a bit anymore. Everyone's like, yo, they're fucking weird how much they're all about each other. So, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think I don't hate that fit for him either. I mean, like, I feel like in the past they've tried to the roster that was constructed and then the coaches behind the bench didn't really, like, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. They've got an interesting mix, obviously. They've got some young kids coming, which could, I guess, make it more interesting. And yeah, Freddie Gaudreau would probably be like 28 minutes a night. But I mean, if he goes there, what contracts we're going to talk about? Oh, never mind. 60% of the 4x4s left on this team. Anyways, now that I have the outline up and running,
well, I think Dean could be a good fit just because, like, Columbus just needs to get their shit together. Like, they don't even. I've probably been too negative on the X's and O's with Dean, like, because I don't think that is the real value he brings. Like, he fixes a locker room, he fixes a culture, he empowers the players. and Columbus needs a whole hell of a lot of that. So I do think that's like a match made in heaven. But him and Woodcroft, like, who would you rather have if you're a Columbus fan?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I kind of feel like on the way out, there was a weird vibe around a guy like Woodcroft where it was like, hey, look what he did last year. And then at the end, it was like, what the fuck has he done? Get him out of here. But at the same time, when they fired him, like, this is his record. It's like, yeah, but like, look what the fuck he just did. Like, that loss to the Sharks, like, was just a death nail. And like, so like, there's that kind of conversation. Then they're on like Dean. It was, I feel like around the league, everyone's like, hey, he's pretty good coach. But like, I don't know how much other fans know that. Like, I honestly don't know how much other teams know about like head coaches and like what they look like behind their team's bench. And those are two specific guys where it's like before their last jobs, like if you were in hockey, you knew who they were and you were familiar, or if you're like up to date constantly on like up and coming coaches, whatever. But other than that, like pretty low key profiles between the two of them. And McClellan's the opposite. Everyone's seen him around forever, coaching very good hockey teams. I do think it's very weird that out of nowhere they're like, just kidding, like this is now done. Because I thought, I'll be honest with you, in my head that was like it was official. I am now aware that it's not as of 18 seconds ago. No, maybe 2 minutes. But I thought the McClellan hire would have made a ton of sense because, like, I think that guy's a good fucking coach.
He's a good coach, but is this roster even ready for a coach like McClellan? Like, I feel like McClellan's there if you're a fringe playoff team and you want to make it into the playoffs. Columbus isn't that.
Yeah, I'm still, like, it boggles the mind how bad they were. Because, I mean, some of the signings that they made.
Correct.
Right. And, like, I would have been surprised coming into last year or whatever it was. I guess was that 2 years ago? Goudreau signed there. Is this year 3? Holy shit!
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my god, time is
and it's isn't it year 3 of Provorov too?
Good lord. No, I think it's year 2.
Yeah, year 2. Like they got him at the end of the 3rd. Yeah. I don't know.
Like, I do think there's too much talent that is there for them to be as bad as they were. Now, the injuries obviously were horrific too. They've also got a couple young kids coming that should vie for time this year. Like, and we'll see where the organization's at, or we'll see where Yursek's at with them because we saw those comments last year. But like, and like you said, a guy like Dean Evason, like in terms of just pure vibes, desperately needed. I don't know how much personality really there is with like a guy like Woodcroft. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It seems like there's that's the thing that everyone's saying. It's like, do you want like shy, meager Woodcroft, or do you want fiery, punch you in the face Dean Evason? Like that,
and like challenge
polar opposites. The people that like don't know the coaches super well. It's like, yeah, you get one or the other. Like that's it. But I do think to knock Woodcroft is unfair because he literally got ousted the same way Dean did, and the same way every coach has been of late. Shitty fucking goaltending. Yeah.
And I mean, he did like the thing with the pair with that goaltending. He tried to change their defense, and like not only did it not work, it was horrific. And like, he was like, "We're gonna keep trying it for a little bit," and they were like, "Hey, man, like it's not working," and he's like, we're just gonna keep working on it. Yeah. And that team was fucking atrocious. And then he's gone and immediately. It does not help that they went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final for him personally. Like it's like now the good, like the solid overall record that he did have with them before this, like is out the window because it's like, okay, they were like the worst team on the planet. They lost to the Sharks, and then immediately he's gone. They rattle off 500 wins in a row and go to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final.
And I've thought about this, and I honestly like I've twisted it in my brain a couple different ways. I don't know if it's better or worse for him that his replacement was Connor McDavid's friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It's like, hey, it's fucking threw his buddy by the bench, and all of a sudden, it was
and now they're the like leading favorite for the cup this coming year. So like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, which they also
They
were last year. They were last year too. It was like them and the Rangers or whatever.
They made some.
So that was also very funny, which is also just like very funny. Again,
their season's gonna come down to the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a believer. I'm not sitting here saying that he's a top 10 goalie in the league, but I've always been a Stuart Skinner believer. The talent's there. He's so volatile, though. He is truly the decision maker on whether or not they can go on another run. Like, we saw it even in this postseason. Like, when he was at least enough dialed in, they were set. If not, they don't have any other options, dude. What are they going to do?
Right.
So it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, Dean following in Mikko Koivu's footsteps, it's way too fitting. I do think now that Arizona is out of the mix, right? It's the bland Utah generic jerseys. I think Columbus's third jerseys are the best in the league. I know a lot of people disagree, but that's my favorite jersey.
No, I'm a big fan of those. I think they're sick. Yeah, no, the Utah Hockey Club backyard hockey fucking custom shirt. Yeah.
I think that's funny. For a year.
Yeah. No, what if they're like, what if they're really good? They make the playoffs and like, what are we going to fucking change it? No. Like, I guess we're just, this is it. This is it.
They don't have Sid there. There's no superstitions. They're okay.
That's a good point.
Okay. Fair. Yeah. So yeah, Dean and Freddie to Columbus. Mark it down. Maybe that'd be so funny if that was part of the Wild's negotiations to like, hey, we'll continue paying Dean his whole contract, but you guys got to take Freddie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's his full contract isn't actually his full contract. They're in tandem.
Yeah. Next one. A lot of people are like shocked by this. I'm a little surprised just given how like last year was a little resurgent for him, but Evgeny Kuznetsov doing what Russians do late in their career, going and getting that KHL money, except he was due to make like $6 million this year. So it's a little weird, but again, he's probably making quite a good amount of money for the next 4 years with Ska. So plus he can have all the party favors he cares to. Yeah.
And I mean, he's old, so he's going to be first line. So he might get 30 minutes a night with that fucking coach.
Not have to try.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I mean, like, you saw flashes of old Kuznetsov when he did go to Carolina. Like, obviously, again, there were still some of the same concerns that realistically his whole career have fucking been there. Like, yeah, there's going to be games where, like, he's super fucking lazy. You're going to forget he's there. He has no interest in, like, going back over his own red line. Like, he doesn't want to do that. But, like, I mean, it looked like he was enjoying playing hockey again. And again, like, you saw the flashes of skill, the goal scorer, the playmaking, whatever. And, like, didn't look like a guy that wouldn't be able to find a job in the NHL again. So, yeah, no, I mean, especially given the fact, well, actually, I'm not surprised he got the four years over there, which really, like, the years just don't mean anything. But
he can also have legacy deals there as long as he wants. Like, they're not going to get rid of a guy with that profile.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I don't know, a little surprising because it seemed like he had new life in Carolina, and especially like a team that has already lost a lot. It's like, oh, okay, there's another thing we got to figure out. And again, not a huge loss, but still, it's something.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it, like I saw that had happened, and I was like, oh, really? All right. Yeah, okay. And I was like, yeah, I guess it kind of does make sense. But I mean, I thought he would have at least had another year or two left. But yeah, there he goes. He's going to be making a bank over there.
There she goes. Mm-hmm. Hey, say what you want about my singing. It's better than the alcoholic anthem singer.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Kudos to her, I guess, for like owning it. You saw that, right? Like her response. I shit you not, though, man. I gotta remember exactly what it was called, but right after it, like I had told Laura about it the night before, like when it happened, and I'm like, you got to hear this. She's like, yeah, I just don't care. Then that statement came out, and I go to her, I'm like, do you want to listen now? She's like, yeah, kind of. So I pull it up and she listens. She's like, oh my God. And like, she's like, what's this person's name? So looks it up immediately. And she's like, well, first off, she is actually a good singer, but second off, the first song that popped up, Wishful Drinking.
I mean,
it's just poetic.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it was like the fact that it was legitimately immediate. Like,
what was? Oh, for her to find that?
No, the announcement of, It
was the next day, but yeah.
It was just like, oh, fuck. Like you said, though, people like didn't see, they're like, I'm not really, like, I have no interest in watching, like, maybe I'll check out this bad anthem. And the next day it's like, checks into rehab. You're like, holy shit, how bad was it? Like, oh, and then you watch it, you're like, I can't do, I have to, is it unpatriotic to turn this off halfway through? Because I can't go through another fucking second of it. It was painful. Yeah.
It got worse as it went too.
Yeah, no, it was significantly worse as it went. And that's why I was like, I can't do the whole thing. I just couldn't do it. So
yeah, something. But yeah, somehow we went from Kuznetsov going to the KHL to drunk anthem singers. All right. Next one, Torrey Krug out indefinitely. Your boy, he's got some degenerative ankle, knee, something that like he's at least out 6 to 8 weeks, could be out for the entire season, depending on what the results are of some tests. The main reason I include this here, not just because he's a former Bruin that you cared about, but is Ryan Suter going to work his way into top 4 minutes again?
Of course he is. Of course he is. He probably,
incredible. It's incredible.
If you think he was going there without that guarantee that he at the very least had a very good chance of getting there, regardless, you're out of your mind. But
it's so good.
On the Torrey Krug front, those, I hate those, like, I don't even, like, I guess you call it an injury. I mean, I guess it is, but it just feels different. Where it's just like, could be 6 to 8 weeks, but like just the indefinite thing sucks. And I mean, like, life, or just like, it hasn't gone obviously as well as it did in Boston and St. Louis for him. And I mean, there's been like the trade in the past that he nixed, which like obviously pissed off a lot of fans, put him on like bad favor with them. And then the play just hasn't been like, he has not been remotely close to the same player. It's also just when he signed there, just a very weird decor in general, I think. And the fit was never great to begin with. But yeah, I mean, it's scary. I don't want to say sad yet, because it's like, I'm more just sort of like, I hate those weird degenerative fucking like issues where, again, the fact is like indefinite, where it's like, yeah, he could just be done. We don't know. Like, I hate those. And it sucks. Yeah. But
and
God was here.
Taking nothing away from like the seriousness of it, because I agree with you entirely on every sentiment there. Doesn't it make you just a little bit more sad though that he didn't end up in Philly?
Oh God. Yeah.
People would be like giving him death threats probably. So it's probably for the best. Like, but of course, like, you know, there's gonna be people in St. Louis who decide to be donkeys too. Like, why couldn't you just go to Philly?
It's like, yeah, no, you're right. I should have thought about you guys first. Instead of like, I should have put your priorities ahead of mine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Either way, it's fucking. I saw that update. That was one update I did see today. Hated it. But I mean, hopefully they get it figured out and it's closer to the 6 to 8 than more than that. But yeah,
yeah, it's a bummer. But hey, Ryan Suter, keep doing you, buddy. Don't know if you saw this one, but posted it from the Sota Pod account. Dom Luszczyszyn puts out his top 10 best and then bottom 10, like the worst, contracts in the NHL based on what they're being paid. based on all of their performance and like what they should be paid. Number 10, which I'm sure people will take super rationally, Matt Boldy, the 10th best contract in the NHL. What do you think based on Dom's analytics model? He's making $7 million a year right now. What do you think his value is in dollars per Dom?
I mean, I didn't look at his model, but I mean, to me, it makes sense, especially. Well, I mean, like we've seen even in his struggles, when you look at just his numbers since he's been in the NHL, like he's been a stud, and he's only 23 years old. You pair that with the fact that the cap continues to go up, like it's an absolute bargain.
I agree. But so answer the question. What is your prediction for what Dom's model projects his true value at? Like what should his annual value be?
Closer to like 9, probably.
11.
Oh, wow.
Based on age, based on production, based on so many things. So
yeah, I mean,
maybe in the coming weeks we'll have to do a Boldy deep dive.
Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously 11. I mean, I still am just getting used to like multiple players signing and like making 11 million. So I don't even know like what an $11 million player is anymore.
What's
like there's some. Yeah, like it's like, oh Jesus.
Is that what Boldy is? I mean, guy that looks really good during the regular season, postseason is irrelevant. It fits.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll say this blue in the face. Whenever people try to bring up like individual players not showing up in the playoffs, it's like the last 3, like let's just say since Kirill got here, there's been like 2 guys, maybe 3 that have played well in the playoffs in like the fucking few games that they've played.
I came up with 3 without even like trying. So
consistently the whole playoff, like every year, it's like 2 guys showed up, 1 guy showed up, 2 guys showed up, and it's just like they've been bad. Like
actually,
like everything just goes quite forward.
I think my 3 is where it ends. So,
yeah.
What would you say about Brodin? Probably hasn't quite hit expectations.
I mean, I guess it depends. Like, he's a weird one because it's like, well, what are your expectations?
Well,
I mean, they're fucking losing, they're giving up goals, so I guess automatically.
Right. Well, random bomb that came from Russo while sipping on wines over in Portugal, but basically said, like, yeah, I don't expect Brodin or Spurgeon to finish their contracts here.
The Spurgeon one I wasn't shocked at, just given specifically the injury thing. The Brodin, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, I love
Tony fans started saying other things after that. My brain turned off, so I don't even know really what the context was, but I was just surprised to hear those 2 names.
Yeah, that is surprising. I don't see. I mean, the Brodin, I don't know why that would be even. Wouldn't have even seen that coming as being a point of conversation. Like, that's crazy to me, but whatever. But I mean, again, so like with Boldy, like you said, the age, the production, what he's done so far on a team that like historically, I don't know, put up either like pretty mid offense. Yeah, there you go. But I mean, he also gives you that 2-way game. He is an excellent defensive forward as well. So he's just an interesting player. Like, because again, he's another guy that he's not necessarily like fleet footer or the fastest just in terms of like raw speed, but he thinks at an extremely high level, like, and he plays quick. And it's like he's a guy that also when he's not playing well, he still might pop up for like 2 or 3 points. Like, I think just generally with how smart he is. Again, like when he signed that, people were trying to like shit on it. It's like clearly you like are looking for reason to be mad because like, oh, that's gonna be a bargain soon. I'm like, it already fucking is.
Yeah.
When you look at some of the contracts that get dealed out, the fact that he's there for 7 fucking years.
Hang on though. The part where I'll agree with the fans that are going to be haters. And it's not that I agree, but I understand the sentiment when they look at just the volatility. Like Boldy is either all-star superhero wearing a cape, Matt Boldy, or he is invisible. And when you invest in a guy long-term, you don't want to see that level of like peak and valley. Now, he's young. I just think in the next year or 2, he needs to flatline that out a little bit, or like I'll understand the criticisms a bit more, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
do you agree? Or, I mean, debate. You're angry. Today's been horrible. There's flies in your apartment. Go.
There's so many in front of my face. I'm getting like, just like, I blacked out. Like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about these fucking flies? Because I'd love to like talk about these bottom 10 contracts. Anyways, I don't know. Like, again, when I look at Boldy and even like whatever the peaks and valleys, when he's like been quote unquote invisible, I still look, it's like, all right, well, what's the expectation of the line that he's on? Are you expecting him to be like the play driver? Now, there's been a lot of times where he's just like, yeah, like when he's in those lulls, he'll miss chances where it's like, man, that's like, you never, the fact that I'm saying like, you never miss, like, how did that, like, that's one that's usually the back of the net every fucking time. And I mean, he steps into the league first year, 47 games, 15 goals. Last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, 31 goals and 81, 29 goals and 75 this past year. Like, he's like his point production since he stepped in the league on a team that's like not exactly like a cup contender. Like, again, when he signed that contract, I thought that was already like a bargain considering like what his ceiling is, what he had already done to that point. And I mean, like the team that he did it on, like, to me, it was like, you get him for 7 years. It's not one of those like weird 3 or 4 year bridge deals that's like just lining you up to get fucked over when they're like 28 years old. And again, like this is like it's 23, like, and he's already at 75 goals in his career in 200 games, 171 points. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't know what $11 million, like, I don't know what that player is anymore, especially as the cap goes up, because I do think there is like a legit, like, that inflates everybody's value. But I totally get like the being like the top 10 conversation.
Okay. Did it?
Did he have, I wonder what, I would imagine that given, I would imagine Kirill's not in there, right? Like he's not, like, considering he's got 1 or 2 years left or something.
It is partially based on like years remaining. Like basically said like Draisaitl wasn't in there, but that's because he's only got 1 year left. Like, I think
I'm just wondering what that his valuation would be.
It would probably be insane.
Yeah, I bet it's something comical.
Yeah.
But Boldy locked up till 2030, which still doesn't sound like a real year. Let's just have this
confident are we that 2030 is even going to happen?
That's exactly where I was going. Are we like, you want to, like, yeah, maybe Brody and Spurs are making the end of their deal. Are we making it to 20? Like, are we making it to the end of Boldy's contract? I don't know. Like, that's crazy to me.
Oh man. Lethal Migraine. I need to go to one of these Beauty League nights. Jake Gensel is there tonight. Would be fun to see him play in a no pressure situation. Weirdly, I disagree with this one in particular. I agree with like a lot of the players, like just messing around. Jake Gensel is so fun to watch in pressure situations. Like, it feels like that's where he thrives. But here we go. Hell, it would be fun to watch Kalen Addison when his job isn't on the line. Very much agree. Very much agree.
Yeah.
And see, we might have to talk. Some weeks we might have to adjust which night we record because Joe got us. I don't think it was very hard, but he got us credentials to go in and hopefully bank some interviews for Fellowship of the Rink. So
nice.
we'll talk about that in the future.
You know who put up a hat trick either today or maybe it was last night in the Beauty League?
Wouldn't have been last night.
Whatever. So tonight, maybe. Derek Forbort, legend of the game. Hell yeah, hat trick, baby.
Apparently he lives next door to the owner of my wife's company.
Hell yeah.
And I think he was renting his house out to, God, I want to say it was like Anthony Edwards, like a bunch of his family during the whole like playoff run because he wasn't here, which is awesome.
This is a funny,
allegedly.
In my head, like, I have no idea if, like, how well they would, but like, there's just very funny friendship in my head. Anyways, we gotta move on. I love that.
Hang on. This one from Cosgrove that I'm sure people will either overreact or in a good or bad way too. Wheeler also said Boyum is the number 5 prospect under 25, and because he's got a stutter, Wallstedt was the number 1 goalie, which is interesting because I've heard most people saying Yaroslav Askarov is the number 1, which seems really weird to me, but good on Wheeler.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the conversation in terms of people that follow prospects pretty closely last, like, especially 2 years. Like, Wallstedt had kind of taken that number 1 spot, so it doesn't surprise me at all. The William thing is fascinating, and at the same time, like, it is crazy when you just take a step back and look at how much he's already done, like, at his age. Like, 40 or 50 points as a defenseman in college hockey as a freshman year, in his draft year. World Junior gold medal, where he, by the end of the tournament, was a top 4 defenseman, logging over 20 minutes a night. Finished, I think, at like the best plus minus in that tournament. And again, he's at a national championship, and he was like legitimately not just a passenger. He was one of the best players on that team. Like, it's crazy how much he's already done. I didn't look at the list. Shocking.
Oh, dude, he went on Spittin' Chicklets, and he's a beauty. I
saw some of the clips. I was like, my God, he's just hot. How did he not get drafted? Like, early? It's crazy to me. Like, you would think if any team talked to him, they're like, I need him.
He missed a lot of interviews, I think.
Must have,
leave a migrant. I dismissed Wheeler when he didn't put Yurov up top. You know what? I'll bite. That's fair. This one's I need your opinion on, from Mateo. Riley Height under Tarek Parashak was a choice. How do you feel about that one? Because I know, like, they didn't really play together all the time. You watched a decent amount of both of them. Like, who do you think has more upside moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say Riley Height, considering, I mean, even just the fact that he's had 2 full WHL seasons and he's done what he's done. Tarek Parashak, he's just so interesting. I mean, again, like, he talk about a kid that went from like basically Canadian high school hockey, steps to the WHL, is top whatever in points. And I mean, like, again, did he get a lot of points just courtesy of being on a really good line? Yeah, sure. He's also super smart. And again, I feel like you're either very, very high on Parashak, or you're just like, yeah, he's a good player. Like, there's no like, maybe his ceiling could be crazy high. It's either you really fucking believe in him. Like, I don't think anyone looks at it like, yeah, I just see nothing there. Like, that's not a thing. But I don't know. I just never had that. Like, I think a lot of the things that he does really well, that goes nice with the fact and lends itself to the fact that he put up so many points in his first full season in WHL, is I think he is like a super smart player. And I think the hockey sense is super high, and just like positioning wise. So I think that'll obviously lend itself well at the next level. But in terms of just like raw upside, it's hard for me to agree that he would be above a guy like Riley Height, where it's just like he's got that just raw athleticism, the dual threat, the fact that he just plays with the edge that he plays with. So, I mean, again, I'm more on the second part of that like analysis of Parashak, where I'm like, yeah, I see a good player there. Like, I'm not gonna like, I thought 17 was too high, but like, I didn't necessarily think he definitely shouldn't have gone first round. But again, he definitely has his believers, and I get it. I just am not all the way there yet. So I think I don't agree, but I get it.
Oh yeah. Last one, because this is an interesting one just to give people perspective, and then we'll move on to our way too early segments. Shane Wright ahead of Yurov is definitely another choice. How do you feel on this one? Because obviously Shane Wright had the pedigree, like people expected him to go first overall, whatever. But where they're at, how they've developed, how they're pacing, Shane Wright, Danila Yurov, pretty similar. Do you see like one way higher than the other?
I mean, I would agree that Shane Wright, it's still like, people have to remember with Yurov coming into their draft seasons, yeah, Yurov was looked at top 10. Shane Wright was like number 1. Like, again, I always thought the comparison was just like crazy. And I mean, I think any comparisons like these are like super unfair, but I mean, like, a lot of people that have been watching Shane Wright forever would tell you, like, if he hits his full potential, you're looking at Patrice Bergeron. Like, not just a guy that's going to be putting up good points, solid offense, whatever, but like an elite defensive centerman too. By the way, he is absolutely a center. At least that's how he's always been projected. So with the center, just the pure upside that's always been there much longer than a guy like Yurov. And like Yurov legitimately had 2 years basically of lost development, including in his draft year, where like for whatever reason in the KHL, they do the thing where it's just like, yeah, we could let him go play junior and actually get ice time and actually like play, or we could have him sit on the bench for 8 seconds a game, or like get 8 seconds of ice time and then sit on the bench the rest of the game. I mean, he did that for 2 fucking years. And even like the year before, like his draft plus 1 year, like they still, I think they let him play maybe 15 or maybe 20 junior games that year. And he was getting 2 minutes a night. So he like realistically did have 2 very crucial years of lost development. Plus you pair that with the fact that he timed it, like his draft year was that first year after like full blown COVID, where like his draft year, it was like they were affected in their draft -1. And Hoppy's now gone. Maybe I'm gone. I don't know. But I totally can understand. And I mean, I would probably still agree just with the fact that Shane Wright at this point would be higher on that list over a guy like Yurov. Again, like we've had 1 full year of Yurov doing his thing and popping off. Shane Wright obviously has not happened for him. We've seen it in flashes, like when he goes and plays Team Canada, he's been really good. And I mean, he had a few games this year in Seattle where like he looked good again, but 1 year I would say that you would look at it and say, yeah, Yurov right now is better. So I would still put Wright ahead, but I mean, the way they're trending, that's a different conversation.
Sure. Which I guess I don't know exactly how Wheeler is analyzing it, but it's interesting nonetheless. Yeah. All right. We're going to do the way too early segments. Do we want to start with the 2025 draft, or do we want to start just like pulling out of thin air some predictions for next year, who makes the playoffs, who doesn't?
Oh, God.
We'll do prospects then. Got it.
I don't know. Because, I mean, the prospects one's going to go longer anyways. May as well finish with that.
Okay. Well, then let's set the table here. Way too early predictions. Like, this is just kind of shooting from the hip. We're not saying who's going to win the Stanley Cup. It's more, who are the teams that were in the playoffs last year that you think are going to slide? Like, who do you think is going to ascend, descend? Like, we're just going to kind of take individual teams. We can go division by division. We can go conference by conference, whatever you're more comfortable with. Do we want to say, like, hey, who in each division, like, is in, is wild card, is, like, fringe, is out? Or
I got to tell you, I don't even know why I bother with the NHL website. It's the worst thing that's happened to hockey. I just
the Capitals buying cap friendly is probably worse.
I guess so. I need to pull up the actual standings last year.
Oh, sure. Well,
yeah, I don't know why would NHL.com have that?
But no, yeah, you got to Google that shit because it goes right to playoffs.
Fucking believable. Fuck this website.
Yeah, that's bad.
All right, I got it up. You want to start East or West?
Let's go East. Let's go East. And do we want to go like just East as a whole, or do we want to say Atlantic, Metro? What do you think? We're going division. We're going division.
I was gonna say division.
Pull up divisional rankings. So in the East, now I'll start and I'll let you rebuttal because that'll make it easier for you since you seem a little aback from this. So last year we have 4 teams that made the playoffs from the Atlantic: Florida Panthers, Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, in order. I think that all four are probably going to be playoff teams.
I'm not kidding. I'm looking at last year's, the way that the standings, like 1 through 8, I'm like, I would honestly not be shocked if that's exactly how it finished again. Maybe you could swap Toronto, or not Toronto. Actually, maybe you swap Toronto and Boston.
I'm not sold on Washington.
Well, I'm saying you said Atlantic.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, you said you're looking at the top 8. Oh, top 8 from the division. Got it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to shuffle a lot more. So I'll lead with that then, and you can tell me why I'm dumb. I think that the top 2 teams are the Leafs and the Bruins in the regular season. I'm not talking like winning the Stanley Cup, right? I'm talking regular season standings where the seeding comes out. I lean Toronto then Boston, but I could be convinced either way. But I'm going to say Toronto, Boston, and then Tampa, Florida, I could see going either way too. But I actually think that 5 teams get in from the Atlantic and only 3 get in from the Metro. Which of the 4 teams that missed last year do you think I have getting in? It's in order after that. It was Detroit Red Wings, Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, Montreal Canadiens.
Do you have Ottawa?
Wow, you and Horror Docs both guessed it. Ottawa. I think Ottawa has a real chance to make a playoff push. Now, they'll probably get smothered in the first round. That's fine. I think that they have, and I'm not saying that Ullmark is the be-all, end-all for them, but it's still going to be a noted upgrade from what they've had in recent years. I think the whole Chychrun experiment was just like the wrong fit, square peg, round hole. I still think Chychrun's a solid defenseman. And it's weird where like it feels like the last couple years he's been overrated, and now it feels like he's extremely underrated as he goes to Washington. Like he could really have a resurgent year there, but that's beside the fact. You got a bunch of young guys getting a little bit more experience. Their forward depth has never been in question. Their defensemen are all 1 year older. Their top 4 looks the part if they can stay healthy and if they can take a small step. I really believe in the Ottawa Senators making the playoffs this year. And I honestly think that and you've been saying this for a while, but I'm on board now. The Yzer plan doesn't exist.
Yep.
I think Steve Yzerman just like doesn't want Detroit to have good things. He makes really weird decisions over and over. I'm very confused. I don't get it. Aside from drafting, he makes really weird decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was actually just about to say, so I forgot about some of the other additions that Ottawa actually had made outside of just like Ullmark. Like obviously love the Perron addition.
Yes, Perron. I think that is a phenomenal move, especially to usher on some of the younger kids.
And like Amadio, I actually like that, like having that guy in their middle 6 as well. Like it was crazy in Vegas. He would just pop up and score some huge goals for them. And it didn't really matter what line he was on. He's not a guy that you are asking to like drive offense, but like in terms of like secondary and tertiary offense, like not a bad guy. And he's been around forever. Like he plays their brand of hockey too, where he likes to play big boy hockey. And on the back end, I actually completely forgot, but I love the Nick Jensen edition. He is a fucking solid defenseman, like very quiet, does his job, but he like when he's on the ice, generally speaking, the puck is not going in your net. And like, that's the kind of guy that I think really they could have used with their younger defensemen. Like Hamonic has been fine there, but like I don't think at any point in his career is like, yeah, no doubt, like top 4 D-man, like whatever. Like they had a bunch of young kids, and then just like they tried the Chychrun thing. He was fine, but like
that's the perfect spot though, because you put the two next to each other. Chychrun is better than Jensen. Like objectively, he is a better player. Jensen is a way better fit.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, like healthy Sanderson all year too. Like I think he might have a fucking monster year. And again, like their Achilles heel outside of just being chaotic 100% of the time was like the goaltending. They actually have historically had like some good goaltending, just for whatever reason. They would just shit the bed every fucking year. And you're like, Jesus Christ. But I actually, so now that I think about it, like the second you started talking, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I actually put them behind the Lightning. And then other than that, people can say they want about Detroit.
Do you think Buffalo's frisky? I'm just very confused about them. Like they are, you look up and down their roster and it all looks good, but then you look at the whole picture and it's like, I don't know.
The collective unit, I just can't.
Weird. It's where like the individual parts are greater than the sum of those parts.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I can't tell how I feel about.
Well, I mean, the trade 1-for-1, I hated McLeod for Savoy. Like, I hate that deal 1-for-1. At the same time, kind of look at it with
it makes
Buffalo,
sense.
it's like
I hate
it's different. Yeah, it's like so that who knows? Like, we'll see what type of role he gets there, and if he fits that. So, when you look at Buffalo too, like, what's their style?
Their style is Buffalo. Their style is Buffalo.
They're like, fuck. Their style's fuck it.
Their style is they will beat you up if you ask for ranch instead of blue cheese, which is why I've been beaten up a few times.
Yeah, and I mean they're really gonna need like if Bowen Byram can stay healthy and have a fucking solid year, that could be a big time difference maker. But at the same time, it's like even then, like when I look at the young defensemen, it's like, man, like you want all 4 of these guys on the same fucking team?
I think Byram's getting
look at their goaltending. But then again, look at their fucking goaltending. James Reimer. Like what the fuck?
What?
And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Huh? Is James Reimer?
They've signed him.
What?
I don't know if they still have to sign UPL, but it's like UPL and James Reimer. I think, unless I'm forgetting about other fucking goals.
Yeah, you are.
Oh yeah. Well, they weren't sure if he's going to be in the NHL to start because like that did not go well.
Sure, but like majority of the year, I gotta imagine he's there.
I would imagine.
Like I think Reimer's insurance.
I would hope so.
Is Reimer on a 2-way or not?
I have no idea if it's on a 2-way.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. But yeah,
I don't know. I just don't. Dude, I mean,
how mad are you going to be when Montreal gets like a top 4 pick next year?
Yeah, I'm going to throw up in my mouth again
because they're not a bad team either.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're just among the Eastern Conference teams. They're towards the bottom somehow.
Yeah, I gotta.
And in this division, it's unfortunate, but they're at the bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be super fun. Okay, well there's the Atlantic. We agree for the most part. We agree on Ottawa. Seems like you disagree a little bit. I think Florida is going to have a little bit of the hangover, not just from winning, but 2 years in a row of full postseason going to the Cup Finals. Then there is the winning. They lost players. I'm sure they'll find a way to bring people in on cheap deals, but like it's gonna be a regular season step back. Come playoffs, when they get in, watch out. But regular season, there's gonna be lulls and spots where they take the foot off the gas. I really do think regular season Toronto and Boston both look really good, as long as Swayman actually signs and stays healthy.
Yeah, seriously, fuck my life.
Yeah. And hey, at least he's got that delicious dish.
That's a good point.
For that reason, I might come visit you again. That was so good.
I like that was it. Like, yeah, I guess I could fucking suffer through that again. Fucking have the Swayman over at Tresca.
And the guy had the audacity to tell me that he was there the night before. Motherfucker.
That was actually kind of fucked up on his part.
What a dick. He was a really nice guy, and then he did that. I'm like, you're kind of an asshole. All right.
You know what? All right. Fucking flies. All right. Yeah, Metro. We've got a whole lot of question marks. This is the weirdest one for me, hands down. And it feels weird to say because I'm always the one that's very cautious, like over projecting a team before you see it. Is there any way you can not put the Devils at number 1? I was like, am I about to put Devils first? I think so.
I feel really bad. I feel wrong about it, but it feels right at the same time. So last year we had the President's Trophy Fugazi New York Rangers, and then followed by Carolina Hurricanes, New York Islanders, Washington Capitals to round out the playoff teams. Out of those 4, how many do you think make it back into the playoffs?
Man. It's so weird. I feel like I
very
like the Devils the most on paper of all these teams, especially when you consider the fact that they go out, they have Markstrom, they bring in Pesci. I like as like a 6-7 Kovacevic from Montreal, really like that. Brendan Dillon gives them something that they didn't have on the back end while also not sacrificing over. Like Brendan Dillon's a fucking good hockey player, so I like that addition for them too. Plus, Dougie Hamilton, in theory, should be fully healthy again. Then he was out pretty much the whole year. And I mean, I'm so curious to see what it looks like when Paul Cotter's given a bigger role, because I think he's gonna get consistent actual middle 6 minutes, and he's a legit fucking player. Like, he's fucking good. So I really like the Devils on paper.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sure the season will start.
Everyone that's joining us live, throw into the comments here where you think the Devils finish in the Metro this year. Just really curious for like a short poll. All right, so we're aligned on that. How do we feel about the Rangers and the Hurricanes? I feel like personally both are playoff teams. I don't know how great I feel about either of them though, like holistically speaking. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I look at like oh my god, did you hear that? I just smacked the microphone, catching a fly. Yeah, I mean, like when you look at the Rangers, like first of all, they've got all the noise now with Trouba going on. Their fucking captain. Like in New York, that's gonna be a massive fucking storyline the entire time, whether they like it or not. And whether they want to admit it or not, that absolutely is on people's minds all the time. Like that's just that
they're in New York
City.
City.
Like, oh, it's outside noise. It's like, bro, yeah, the second you have 1 foot out of MSG, you're hearing about it. But then you look at the additions up front, like Sam Carrick, like another guy to fight too, like whatever. And like,
dude, Rempe's been training.
So, I know that could be scary, dude. He might fucking kill people. Dude,
I
don't know how I feel about.
Rock really let it go.
I know that was insane. Dude, I like Riley Smith a lot as a hockey player. I don't know how I feel about the addition in New York. Like, I don't know how much a guy like Riley. Yeah, exactly. Like, where is he going to play? How much does that really move the needle for him? The one thing I will say is I think Lafreniere is going to pop off. Like, he looked solid the second half of the season and in the playoffs. He was a stud.
Like, I thought he looked really good this year. So what is like the next level for him? What does pop off? Like, are we saying he's hitting like 80 to 90 points, or what's pop off?
Yeah, I mean, if they let him if they do what they did the second half of the year and the playoffs and let him play top 6 and give him a legit role, like I could see him hitting a point per game.
Okay.
And I mean, like, but that's the one thing that when I look at the roster, I'm like, yeah, I bet he takes yet another step and has like legit top 6 point per game upside. And I mean, the back end's pretty much the same. I think, right? But they signed Scan. I actually like that kid, but I don't know if he's going to play at all.
It's the same with the big asterisk of what the heck happens with Trouba, whether he stays or not. Like, it's still what becomes of that. Like, does he play better because he wants to prove he needs to stay? Does it totally fuck his game?
He gets more angry. Does gets suspended more, like, or at all, I guess, really. But
it's just weird because it's a President's Trophy team that didn't get better. Like, if anything, they got a little bit worse. You've got a goalie that had an incredible year where it's like, he's not going to do better. At best, he's going to do what he did, if not regress to the mean a little bit. Again, playoff team, more than likely. I really, right now, I'm toying with having them at number 3.
Yeah, I think 3 is where I would put them.
Okay, we're in agreement then. So it's 2 Carolina for you?
Yeah,
got worse, but I still
really like the players they brought in.
And they brought in okay guys. Go off on it.
I really like the additions of guys like Carrier. I like
Yep.
For whatever reason, isn't Carolina a team where like you kind of feel like Tyson Jost like figures it out somehow? Like I don't know why, but like it just
I didn't
feels.
realize they brought him in.
I just like in my head, I'm like, he feels like such a fucking hurricane. I think I don't know, maybe not. The same thing with Roslovic too. Like I think just like they added something in their middle six where it was like they are no shit middle six guys with upside, and like again. A guy like Carrier, I think he's like a sneaky bottom six stud.
Yeah.
And I like the deal they bring him in on. And when you look at the back end again, like, first of all, I mean, it doesn't make a difference from last year, but I love the contract that they get slated on again. But Sean Walker, I think is like, if you're going to lose Pesci, a guy like Sean Walker, who also not only is he a stud, he stays healthy, which I love that about him. I like that replacement right there. Like, I think at this point, given what we've seen the last like 2 years or so between the two, like with him and versus Pesci, like I kind of like just like having Pesci go out and like a guy like Walker stepping in.
Yeah. What about the Ghost Bear Pig? That feels like a move that you make if you need a power play quarterback, which they don't.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like towards the end of the year they were really not as thrilled with Brent Burns, which I thought was interesting. And I mean, like, Goss's Bear was fine for them too. I think you have like two legit power play guys there. And like realistically, once Hamilton wasn't there anymore, they kind of did go to like not necessarily just having one guy out there for 2 minutes, even though I'm sure Brent Burns would love to be out there for like 2 minutes and then have someone take a penalty and then also kill it. Like he is a maniac. I don't know how he does.
If not, what's the point of the Walmart parking lot workouts? Like, why is
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is still so funny to me.
It's awesome.
No, I just like, and I'm curious to see if like, and also by the way, healthy Svechnikov could, because he was not Svechnikov. You know what I mean? Like they did what they did. They were as good as they were with him being like 2 levels below the way that he usually plays.
Out and then 2 levels below. Yeah, completely.
Right, exactly.
Right. Nope, that's a big X factor for them. And I do think they've still got the structure. They play the game the right way. And their main guys are still there. And they will be a playoff team for the next couple of years. It's just they're not like the last couple of years I have had them as a front runner for the cup. I do not have them there now. So this will be the year that they go. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, everyone knows bet whatever I don't say. Like, you know, so.
Fair point here from Lethal Migraine too. We got to see what the contracts look like for Seth Jarvis and Marty Natchez, which Natchez is gone, dude. He's not staying.
He must be.
Like he doesn't. It's too late. They have the money and they're like, hey, do you want to come? And he's like, no, we could have figured this out a while ago. Just like Gensel. Like they came to him at the last hour. They're like, okay, we'll give you the money you want. And he's like, fuck you. I've already envisioned life on a beach. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we'll see. Okay. So if there's one or two, let's say the Atlantic just has a complete turnover year and things go poorly, or they all cannibalize each other and it levels them all to the middle. If they get 2 teams that get wild cards, and again, remaining teams that made the playoffs last year, New York Islanders and Washington Capitals, within a couple of points of them were the Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers, New Jersey Devils, who we already talked about as being the number 1 team, and then Columbus Blue Jackets. Who are the 2 teams you look at as having a shot at, or the best shot at wild card spots?
You said that includes the
Devils are out. So it's Islanders, Capitals, Penguins, Flyers, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, I said it before. I like what the Capitals did. Even with a guy like Dubois being a pretty big gamble, I still like the addition of a guy like Mangiapane. I really like the Matt Roy on the back end there. I can't not appreciate the fact that they're spending a total of like, I think less than $2 million on a couple of like pretty good goalies. Like I love that.
That's like the one thing I do like. The rest
And
of it
again, like
weird.
the Chychrun thing too. I like him there, especially because I just look at the moves that they made and the gambles that they're making with some of the young guys that are there that are going to have bigger roles this year. Like, God, what's his fucking name?
Luc Dubois.
Oh my God, Hendrix Lapierre.
Oh sure. See, for me, yes, they have the ceiling to get in. There's a real low floor here too. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I probably have them being like 5 or 6. I don't know. They're just like the Sabres for me. I like a lot of the individual players they added. I'm very confused about where the fits are for a lot of them. It could all click and work perfectly, and I could look like an idiot. I don't know. They are better on paper. On ice, I'm not sure I believe it. They're going to have to prove me wrong for the first month or two of the season before I'll change my mind. I think Islanders...
How much of it does also depend on Ovi? How much does it, like, if Ovechkin's like, I'm going to score 50 again?
Yeah.
Because...
he could.
That was great. That's what I mean.
Was awful until it wasn't, and then he still put up 30 goals. So it's like, if he can strap that together, if he can get back in the gym this summer, not rock the double dad bod, then maybe. But yes, you're it is right. Ovi definitely is a big piece of it. And you know what? If we had a healthy Nicholas Backstrom, I'd be talking a completely different game here, but we don't. So I'm not.
How funny is it? How funny is it though that like, I mean, not incorrectly, like everybody, all of us were like, man, Ovi really did his last legs. Oh, what did he finish with this year? 30. Like, oh, what? And like, wow, what a shitty year for Alexander Ovechkin. 30 fucking goals.
Yeah. Nope. I'm really curious to see how he starts the year. That is going to be interesting. Islanders are one for me. I think they're a gimme just with how they play. I like the future of their team is not great, but they are a good team. I think they do enough.
They're one legit addition, dude. Like I love Anthony Duclair.
Yeah.
Like the contract he got, I think, is a bargain for a guy like him. Like even in San Jose, obviously he didn't have crazy numbers because it's San Jose. But when you looked at what he was working, it was like, man, he still put up decent enough offense. He probably knows and can read every team in the league's defense because he's played for half of them. It's great. The speed between him and a guy like Barzal is so fun to me. I love that.
Is it weird to you? And I feel weird for feeling weird, but him getting a 4-year deal just like felt wrong to me. Like that's just not what Anthony Duclair does. He doesn't spend more than a year or two in one given spot. It just felt strange to me that he finally got. Yeah. Of course, it's Lou that gave it to him because he gives out 7s to everyone. So he should have been offended, if anything. The biggest thing for me with the Islanders is, especially now that the trade was consummated between Ottawa and Boston, this is my favorite goaltending tandem. Like that alone can carry you through a regular season. And
Sorokin was bad. Sorokin was bad, and there's no way he
can't be that bad again. I still think he is a top 3 goaltending talent in the league, and he's going to have a bounce back year. Varlamov right behind him is great. This is a team that is just going to be a pain in the ass to play every single time. So I think Islanders are in. You think Capitals are in? Do you also think Islanders are in for if we're picking 2 wild cards? Or where are you at with the rest of them? Because most years
I think it's them and then it's the rest of that division.
Right. You think it's those 2? Capitals and Islanders. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I agree. I think this is the first year that I won't even make an argument for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't think they have a shot in hell.
Yeah.
They had a Hart Trophy season from Sidney Crosby last year, and they couldn't fucking get in when it was a dog shit, easy race to win in the Metro. Pittsburgh is going to miss the playoffs, and hey, in a little bit here, you're going to be telling me about some of the players I can get excited about because Dubas ain't going to be trading firsts. So, yeah, it's not great. And I'm really interested to see if the Flyers were just like the biggest fugazi last year. Like, are they going to be a competitive team, or like was last year just complete mirage? I don't know. We'll see. And go Dean. Hopefully you and Freddie can do a little bit better with the Jackets. But okay, that's the East. Central, which this one, I got to get your opinion because this is a question we got on this week's mailbag for Fellowship of the Rink. By the way, everyone go subscribe, Fellowship of the Rink, anywhere you get your podcasts. Someone asked, does the Central basically have a lock on both wild card teams this year? Joe Smith very much agreed. I very much disagree. So I want you to break the tie before we even talk about which teams, or maybe we've got to work through this first.
Yeah, I don't see how you look at any of them. Like, yeah, lock. Like I think
it's more like, do you think that the Central gets the 2 wild cards versus the Pacific? That's what the question.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't see it as a lock at all. Like, no.
I feel like both divisions get one of them. I feel pretty confident in that.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is I gotta pull up to make sure I'm not forgetting about any moves. I fucking hated what the Kings did, if I remember correctly. Well, that's not true. I am the one that liked the Fogle thing.
They did good and they did bad, and some of the bad was to counteract some of their previous bad. So you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what Kemper looks like.
Yeah, the goaltending is the big concern for them. But nice bit of business for Quentin Byfield, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, Central last year, Dallas Stars, who led the Western Conference, followed by Winnipeg Jets, Colorado Avalanche, Nashville Predators for the teams that made the playoffs, followed by St. Louis Blues, Minnesota Wild, Arizona Coyotes, now Utah Hockey Club / Utah Yeti, and then Chicago Blackhawks. Z, which teams, if any, are you willing to say are surefire playoff teams? Because I'm looking at, I guess, 2 if I'm like putting my life on it.
Yeah. I think they're going to be – I don't think they're as good as they were last year, but I have Dallas making it again. I really don't like what they've done at the back end. Like, still doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, loved what Nashville did outside of the contract they gave Brady Shea.
Agreed.
But, I mean, when you look at the other – I mean, that is some major, major upgrades for them.
And for this season – contract is irrelevant for Brady Shea. Like, he is an upgrade. But I agree with you. The contract was a little questionable for me, but everything else, like, masterclass. Well done, Barry Trotz.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm with you so far. 1, 2, Dallas, Nashville. Those are the only 2 that I can say with, like, pure confidence. Those are playoff teams, no question.
Yeah, I mean, like, Winnipeg essentially did nothing.
They got worse.
Like, substantially.
And who knows what the coaching shift will do. And,
right.
Dude, I'll say the same thing I said for Igor Shesterkin. Hellebuck just had a hell of a year. Do I think he'll still be a top-tier goalie? Yes. Is there going to be some regression to the mean? You bet your ass there's going to be. So that already is a ding for them. They worry me. Colorado Avalanche can't even fill out a full roster current state with their contract tie-ups. And while the top end is great, the bottom is questionable and their goaltending is questionable. So, like,
right.
Is Colorado probably my number 3 team? Yeah. But to stay, like, with full confidence that they're in, I don't even know if I'm there, which a lot of people would probably get angry and disagree. But
yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty confident that they get in. I mean, at the end of the day, they still have
confident,
Cale Makar. They have
not
Nathan
betting my life.
McKinnon.
Yeah.
Right. But they certainly did not get better. They probably definitely got worse.
I do like that they re-upped Middlestat.
Yeah.
He works nicely there for their 2C. So then what? We got those three that I think we can agree are the top three, right?
Yeah.
Then what the hell happens? Let's lead with this. Are we both in agreement that Chicago Blackhawks considerably better, but the only team that we know for a fact won't make the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay, so Blackhawks, number 8, we're moving them out. We have then 4 teams left. Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues, Minnesota Wild, Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, I could go either way with Utah. I could see them riding the
That's my sleeper one, man. I like them this year.
Yeah, I mean, and like the trades they made were obviously awesome. Major
They were a good
upgrades.
team last year.
Yeah, I mean, until it fell off, but
Okay, did that happen to coincide with all the bullshit from Morello? They are going to be amped up, new arena, new fans. They've got a blue line for the first time in a decade. And it's not like a complete blue line, but leaps and bounds better than what it was, adding guys like Sergachev and Marino. Their young forwards take one more step. I'm really excited to see if Logan Cooley can pop a little bit this year. I'm not saying point a game guy, but like I really want to see him take that next step. I think that that's a team that could vie for a wild card.
yeah, no, I think of the teams left, combined, like obviously
I'm putting them over Blues.
The move to Utah paired with the huge additions that they made and like the young stars that are there getting another year under their belt, they're the team that you're most excited about. I think if they can come together and gel as a team with those additions that they made and like embrace the full change quickly, I would have them right there vying for that wild card spot. It's always weird. Like I never know what to make of like teams that make a ton of changes and how much to like how much to predict based on like just the like even stuff like vibes alone. Like I mean the Vegas thing's never gonna happen again. Like that'll never happen. Like that was
so
never gonna happen again.
Here's my stance though, because I agree with you. Like you can't like I think Nashville is the better example of like don't overreact because we got to see it on the ice first, even though I think that it fits perfectly. Utah, they had a dog shit blue line. Period. End of statement. They just added 2 real players. It's not going to be worse. It can only be better. Their forward group didn't change. Their goaltending didn't change. So if anything, they got better on the back end. We just don't know how much better.
Well, it's going to depend.
Undoubtedly better.
How healthy, like, can Sergachev stay too? Like, I mean, that's going to be a big question, I think, too. So we'll see. Sure. But I mean, the team that you easily, of all these teams left, by far, they're the most exciting.
Yeah.
That like, you're probably like excited to watch that more than any other teams left.
Yeah. Let's remove them then. Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues, Minnesota Wild. Rank them.
God, I think of all of them like so similarly. Like again, like Winnipeg was phenomenal last year. That team is definitely worse.
Yep.
And like you said, there's no like it would be insane if Hellebuck did what he did regular season again. Coaching change still don't like I think they got legit worse and they still have a bunch of question marks with the team as a whole in general. So like, I don't feel great about them. Minnesota, I actually don't really know what to make of them anymore. To be honest with you, I actually have no clue. Like, couldn't tell you. I still like they might be very similar, aka like missing out on the playoffs with like 3 or 4 games left. They could get into the wild card. I definitely don't have them top 3 of the division. That's just like where I am with them. St. Louis, I just I don't know. I feel the same as I did last year with them. But I mean, if Cairo, Thomas, and Buchnevich can go off again, then there you go.
What a weird fucking contract, though, right?
The Buchnevich one? I love Buchnevich. I love that player.
Love the contract?
Oh, God. What was the actual number? It was 8 years, right?
Dude, I think it was like a 7x8 or an 8x8.
Yeah, I think that's fine with what he brings.
Really?
Yeah. He's been fucking so good for them.
I'm not questioning that, but all right. I'll defer to you on that one. I'm skeptical, but I'll go for it. All right, so talk me out of this. I got Blues at number 7.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, to be honest.
Okay. So then when we figure out 6, here's the tough part. I already said I've got Utah as one of the wild cards. Minnesota Wild and Winnipeg Jets. One of them for me is going to end up at number 6 in this division. And I can't make – I don't know. They're so neck and neck for me.
I think I like the Wild more than the Jets, honestly. And I know it doesn't sound right because I'm pretty sure Winnipeg just kicked the shit out of them this year too.
And I get it. Like, dude, last year, most people had Winnipeg not making the playoffs. They surged.
And then got easily
go back the other way. Dude, I believed way too hard in them. They broke me.
I know.
I really thought they could win in the first round. God damn it. Yeah. I don't know. That's my toughest thing.
I'm taking Minnesota over them.
Okay, so there you go. I'll tell you what. I'll yield on that. I will give you Winnipeg's at 6 then. Utah versus Minnesota. Make a final decision. I'm saying Utah 4, Minnesota 5. Tell me why you agree or disagree.
Well,
this caveat, because it's the way too early predictions, if we get meaningful minutes from Ogren, Height, or Haight, like if one of them slots into the second line and changes the dynamic up top, I might have a completely different opinion. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah. I think Utah they're just more exciting to me, so I guess I'll just barely put them over.
So we're pretty much locked.
How
are we lockstep then? Are we going Dallas, Nashville, Colorado, Utah, Minnesota, Winnipeg, St. Louis, Chicago? Like, do we completely agree?
Yeah, at this point, that sounds probably about right.
All right, the first one that we completely agree on for the way too early predictions, Central Division, lock it in. That means our last one here, the Pacific Division. Boy, this is a volatile one. Like, I think we'll probably both be on the same page with who's going to be number. Maybe. I think we'll agree on the top 2. Is that fair to say? Maybe not.
So.
1, 2, Edmonton, Vancouver. In some order. Oh, he disagrees. Give it to me.
No, I'm not saying yet if I disagree or not.
Okay. Well, for everyone listening, last year we had the Vancouver Canucks, followed by Edmonton Oilers, Los Angeles Kings, Vegas Golden Knights for the playoff teams. Non-playoff teams, in order, Calgary Flames, Seattle Kraken, Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, no, lock it in. I like Vancouver too.
I'm even toying with Vancouver 1. Toying with it. I like what they did this offseason. Besides, I'm not the biggest fan of the overall contract for what's the defenseman's name? Now I'm spacing on it. Doesn't matter. Guy they brought in from Detroit. Now I'm gonna get pissed.
Oh. Wait.
Roenick, yeah. I like the player. I don't know how I feel about the contract, but
yeah, he's not making the team, but I would love it if their 2022 second or third rounder, Elias Pettersson, defenseman from Sweden. I would love it if he made the team. Would be a big fan of that.
So fun. No, we need him to be traded.
Yeah, true.
I really like their forward group though, and I think their blue line is good enough.
Yep.
And I'm just a big fan of their goaltending. So yeah. But for now, way too early. We'll agree. Edmonton, then Vancouver. Then shit just gets crazy because Vegas Golden Knights have been hemorrhaging this offseason. A lot of guys leaving. Like, they still got the big names, but a lot of them have health risks. LA Kings, you mentioned during the Central discussion, like, questionable offseason as well. Calgary Flames have pretty much embraced the tank, even though they're not doing a very good job of accumulating assets. Seattle Kraken, better on paper. We both hated their offseason moves. Anaheim Ducks are just the most confusing organization on the planet with all the talent they've accumulated, and no one knows what they're going to do. And San Jose Sharks, kind of like the Chicago Blackhawks, better, still going to be the worst team in the division. So
yeah, 100%.
We agreed there. San Jose Sharks.
Yep. Yeah.
So where do you lead? I got my opinion for 3, but I want to hear what you're thinking.
I'm going Vegas still.
I am too. So they scare me. They are very brittle, but their top end talent is crazy. But they lost a lot of depth, but their blue line is sick. And they put a lot of faith into their goaltending, sending away in the middle of signing autographs, or no, it was like an hour before signing autographs, sending away, man, I'm bad on names today.
Logan Thompson.
That Fury. Logan Thompson. But yes, they are a team that if things shake out the right way, they could win this division, and I wouldn't be shocked. They could also be out of the playoffs, and I wouldn't be shocked. Like, they have the highest ceiling, lowest floor of all of these teams. So
yeah, the goaltending is going to be interesting to watch, especially when you look at the combo of Aiden Hill, Ilya Samsonov, and then the 2 no-name guys.
Good value, though, on Samsonov, like you mentioned right when it happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be very interested to see what it looks like outside of Toronto. Because, I mean, by the end of that, it was just fucking in classic Toronto fashion. Get bad on the way out. But they still have a defense core that allows almost nothing. Like the fact that you have Shea Theodore, the minivan man, Alexander Pietrangelo, and then like even a guy on like your third pair, like Nick Hague is a solid fucking D-man who can play as number 4 as well. Plus you have the puck moving and like legit, not like, you know, Norris caliber defending, but Noah Hannafin's a good defensive defenseman too. But his calling card is obviously the transition game and his offense, but he is a more than capable defender overall.
He's a number 3 when, like, on a lot of teams, he's your 2, maybe 1 if you're bad.
Right. And I mean, like, Braden McNabb, a.k.a. like the Easter Island man, like that fucking just absolute stone of a human being, plus like Zach Whitecloud. So they still have a defense core that's just not going to give up a ton of scoring chances anyways. So that they're always going to keep you in there. Plus, I really hope fucking Alexander Holtz gets a legit run. Bruce Cassidy makes me nervous with that, but like he obviously was just never going to like get a fucking look in New Jersey. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. And then a guy like Victor Olofsson, they can just let him eat on the fucking
that one happened quietly too. Like that, there was just like no buzz around it. I am curious. Do you think Brisson can like actually play a meaningful role? I agree. Do you think he's ready? Is my question.
Yeah, I think he can play. I just don't know what it's gonna. Again, I watched Bruce Cassidy come in the very beginning, like his first years in Boston, and the young guys popped off. He gave everyone a look. By the time that he was got like his last year, it was like the classic, you cannot play on our team if you don't have at least 400 games in the NHL.
You must be this tall to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, but thing is, Bruce Cassidy, no matter what team he has, that team will absolutely keep the puck out of the net. And they've got some guys up front that can fucking score. Plus, you're having a full healthy year of Thomas Hertl. Like, I always forget that he's there now.
No, but again, but is he healthy? Can we ever get a healthy back from Mark Stone? Jack Eichel, you never know what's going to happen with that neck. Like, whatever. The talent, ridiculous. I love all three players I just listed. Health scares me because if one of them goes down, the whole thing unravels.
Yeah. Yep. And I still comfortably put them at 3 though.
Also, people forget how like sick Barbashev is with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he is the perfect fit for them. So yeah, all right, we agree on number 3. I feel gross saying LA Kings at number 4. Like I could be talked out of it. Like I could see Seattle beating them out for the 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think again on paper this year, I kind of like Seattle more, but I don't know. I also think again, like Byfield might take yet another step forward, which is scary. Yep. Plus Kopitar, I think is just going to be filthy forever. You still have Fiala there. Like I still love a lot of those players individually. Yeah. Back end,
blue line and goaltending are bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting a ton of eggs in the Darcy Kemper comeback basket, which scares me.
Who's their other goalie?
Phoenix Copley, David Riddick. So, I mean, like, again, you have 3 guys like, yeah, I could see them being fine.
If one of them kind of figures it out, they'll probably be okay. But,
yeah.
Okay. So, where are you going then? Are you saying LA or Seattle? I'm saying Seattle. Fuck it.
Yeah, I like, again, the contracts were borderline psychotic that they threw out there.
Contracts were ridiculous, but this year, remove contracts. They're better.
Man, like, I still cannot. I could believe that someone would give Brandon Montour that contract, I guess.
Yeah, I don't like it, but it's not as egregious as
the Stevenson one. I really would have been shocked if there was another team out there that would have thrown that. Like, that's crazy to me. But I mean, again, he's going to make them better this year.
He's a good player. The contract just is very confusing. Very confusing. Very confusing. Say that a million times fast. All right. So we're saying in tandem again, Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas, Seattle, LA 5.
Yeah.
Then Ducks versus Flames. I'm saying Ducks, even though I have like 0, like that's just like a pure hope. That's a pure hope. They've just got so many talented young players that some of them got to take a step. I don't know. My confidence is super low in saying that. I also feel like Calgary's going full bottom out mode.
Yeah, I mean, like Calgary brought in like Lomberg.
I could actually see Calgary jousting with San Jose, depending on how things shake out for bottom of the Pacific.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
So, yeah, I'm going to go Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose.
Yep, we're in tandem again. There you go.
So we completely agree on the West. The East, we disagree a little bit, but that's how it works. Holy shit. Look at that. We did it. Got through it. Now, the main reason we're here, and for each of these, I'm sure you'll have quite a range of how much you're going to talk about each one, but we have way too early 2025 NHL Draft. Top 16, so all of the lottery picks, essentially, if they happened today, which we've talked about it the last 2 years. There's a lot of guys on this list that we're going to be talking about as absolute steals in the late first, early mid-second. Shit, how late did Henry Muse go this year?
Third round, 70.
Third round, so, like, there we go. So there's going to be a lot that changes throughout the year, hence way too early. But, Z, number 1 on the way too early 2025 NHL Draft rankings.
Yeah, right now, and it's pretty consensus, although this is a year that there will be some challengers. James Higgins, a center from the U.S. program. He's going to be playing his draft year, and there's actually there's going to be more guys than usual that are projected to go first round that are playing in college hockey this year. So he will be at Boston College, which is another big-time get for them. I mean, he's a cerebral tactician. He flies, two-way center. The only real question with him at center is going to be the fact that he's 5'10". He's more than good enough that should not be a concern at all. I mean, he was the best player on the USNTDP this year. Like the skating, the skill combo, he reminds you of guys like Logan Cooley, Jack Hughes. I mean, like, you can't take the puck from him. You can't keep up with him. Like, you just can't even get near him when he has the puck. Compete level off the charts. Like, he, again, two-way center that is unbelievably mobile, super smart, can score goals, can make plays, legitimately can be like, he projects to be, if he hits, a legit play-driving number one center at the NHL level at 5'10", which is obviously just like, you don't see that very often. But I mean, again, like when you're looking at player comps or like similar styles, and I mean the production too, it's insane. When you talk about guys like Logan Cooley, Jack Hughes, I mean, you're talking about number 1, number 3 overall pick. Like, so right now he is out and out first overall. Like, he is legit. Very curious who it looks like at BC, who he plays with this year. I was
going to say, do you think he can step in and somewhat fill the shoes of a Will Smith?
He's going to be similar because, I mean, like when you look at, I mean, even with guys like Will Smith going, they're leaving, whatever, like the other guys that they have coming in, some of the guys that are still there, that team is absolutely fucking loaded again. And like, he could legit play third line, and he's got guys on either side that are like point per game at college hockey. It's insane. They are absolutely loaded. It's unbelievable. Like, the next 4 or 5 years, they could lose 4 or 5 of their top guys, and stepping in, it's just like, that guy might be better. It's like, holy shit. But Hagens is fucking awesome. So right now he is firmly number 1. But again, he'll have his challengers this year. It's closer than it has been last 2 years or so. But right now he's legit.
Dude, Leonard and Perreault, like first draw, are gonna look over at him and be like, "You're not Will."
Can we call you Will?
Will Hagens is gonna go first overall.
I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe.
Legally changes his name to Will Hagens. That'd be incredible. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. Number 2. This is the guy that I know has been the front runner to contend with Hagens. And actually, until probably more recently, he was the odds-on favorite to go number 1 overall, wasn't he?
I think Hagens has pretty firmly been number 1 for a little bit here, but again, and I went back and forth between him and who I have at 3, but Porter Martone, Mississauga in the OHL, right winger, he's my number 2 right now. He really, like, he's been very highly thought of prospect, obviously, but he like burst onto the scene last year, especially at the Holinka, where he was one of Canada's best players. Insane year in the OHL as a draft -1. He's 6'3". He skates super well. Like, he dynamic offense, playmaking. The shot though is terrifying. And I mean, he does not need any space, does not need time to get it off. Like, it's, if he wants to put it bar down, it doesn't matter where he is on the ice, he's putting it bar down. Like, super creative too, but like when you just look at the elite game breaking abilities that he has with the puck on his stick, it's scary. Like, he is, like, I would be shocked if he doesn't hit his ceiling, just given the profile of player. Like, he is phenomenal, and it's so fun to watch him play. Like, there's a couple of guys who got drafted this past year, and then a couple other on Mississauga that are getting their 2025 eligible. they're going to be a fun fucking team to watch. But Porter Martone, again, so he's right winger, 6'3", moves super well, really good in transition. He's a prick to play against too, which is always fun. But legit game-breaking ability between his goal scoring, the playmaking, and just scores in a variety of ways. Again, like you're going to see him put up like just comical breakaway goals. He's got a bomb of a one-timer from the circle. Wrister, he can score from distance. And he is absolutely unafraid to get to the middle of the ice, get net front. He's going to produce. So like him a ton. I could see teams just seeing like the size, the way that he plays, and the game breaking ability, and like talk themselves into like, yeah, that's, even though he's not a center, like he looks like a number 1 overall pick. So he's gonna, like, that's what I say. Like Higgins has legit challengers this year. And again, like this past year was no shit. So Labrie, year before was no shit. Bedard. So that makes it more fun this year. But Porter Martone, really, really fun player to watch. Like the upside is terrifying. He is legit. So I like him a ton. So I decided to put him at 2.
There we go. And number 3, Z.
Thank God.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you, man.
Sweden is back, baby. Sweden is so back. Anton Frondell, a center from Djurgården, where Liam Mogren played his junior hockey. Another guy that's going to be challenging for first overall. He's got decent enough size. He's like 6'1", 190 something pounds, but like another dynamic playmaker, very good goal scorer. He has a really solid 2-way game that really came out this year when he actually went as a draft -1 and played. I think he played 9 or 10 games with Djurgården in the Allsvenskan. They threw him on the 4th line, and he was a fucking demon on the forecheck, winning pucks. But like, when he's playing against players his own age, which he does not do very often, he's constantly playing up at least one age group. Like, he is a man amongst boys, and it's scary. Like, he is just like on another level versus everybody else. But it's just like the hands at his size, like another guy that can, like, I guess they always say like stick handle in a phone booth, whatever. But like, it's just, there's been so many times where I'm watching the J20 where I'm like, oh, there's like the puck is behind someone who is hitting him, and he just hooks around it, no problem, and like either makes a play for someone else backdoor, scores goals himself. But like, he also, one of the things I really appreciate about him is like, you can't give him a bad pass. You see me catch that fly, slaughtered it.
Miyagi.
But like, he's a guy that you could throw it. You could throw the absolute chunky fucking meat sauce of a pass at him, like 60 miles an hour at his back foot. He'll go skate the stick. He'll take it off his backhand, one hand, put it through his forehand, and like in stride. It is insane. Like you can't give him a bad pass. And again, like every time he's on the ice, he's looking to make a play. Like, he's not a guy that's looking to ship and chase, but again, like when I watched him playing the Allsvenskan this year as a draft -1, which does not happen very often, by the end he was getting 16, 17 minutes a night. So I like the fact that he can play up and down the lineup too, even though he projects to absolutely be a top 6 guy. He can play center, he can play wing. He can kind of just give you a little bit of everything. So there you go. Dual threat in terms of playmaking, but he also can score from distance. So
well, and the first thing that showed up when I Googled him, because I had to, before I like said how happy I was for you, I had to make sure he wasn't a Michael Bronsek-Nygård, who was a fake Swede.
There's going to be.
But it said cerebral tactician. That was like the first like blurb I saw about him.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. He's awesome.
Asky should have spelled both of those.
No, he can't do that.
But he can spell. Smash that like button, guys. Do it. Give us the thumbs up. All right. Number 4, the ever controversial Russian pick.
Yeah, so Ivan Ryabkin plays. He's a center. He's also, I don't know. I can see him being more of a wing, but who knows? Dynamo Moscow in Russia. I put together a bunch of clips of him. He has a comical. He's another one of those guys with just a comical mixtape, like top end skill. Another guy that legitimately you can't give him a bad pass. His ability to improvise on the fly, like think at a super high pace, and his feet move at the same pace. So that's always dangerous combo. Again, he can score from distance. He's got a dynamic shot, but like there are times where he's got the puck in tight. You think he's dead to rights, and somehow he finds his way to the front of the net and finishes it off. Like, keeps goaltenders guessing. So another just dual threat offensively. And he's a super, super hard compete. So decent enough two-way game as well. So I like a lot of what he brings. I think it'll be interesting to see him progress through the Russian ranks, because I mean, I think he'll probably get more time in that system versus like any Russian that's playing for like SKA or whatever. But again, thanks at a super high level, makes difficult plays, really, really good passer, but also is a dual threat offensively with his dynamic shot. To kind of just do everything offensively. It'll be interesting to see, like, once he's in an environment where they're playing more of like an NHL style, where you can't just do like, you can't go like SportsCenter top 10 mode every time you touch the puck. But at the same time, you see enough from him over the years that, like, I don't think that's gonna be a big concern. So he's fucking awesome. He's very fun to watch. Again, as I said, like that, the clips that I took were funny. Like, it was just, he was just making people look stupid every time he's on the ice. He's awesome.
I like that. We've talked about this guy. I actually, just based on how you've talked about him in the past, I thought he'd be higher than 5. Talking about Michael Misa.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Like, another guy that probably a year ago was in the conversation first overall. He probably still is. I think at this point we pretty sure that he'll end up playing either on the left or right wing. Probably not going to be playing center. I don't know if I put center on the sheet now that I think about it. No, I just put forward. So another guy who the individual skill is just a joke. The skating is incredible. So offensively, he is going to be an absolute weapon. Absolutely projects as a top 6 guy. And I mean, we saw him like play in the OHL as a 15-year-old and destroy the OHL as a fucking 15-year-old. This past year, it was a little bit different. Like, Saginaw just like loaded up with like guys that have already been drafted and everything. Obviously, they make their run to the cup run, or they make their run to the Mem Cup. But the big question with him is how much 5-on-5 offense is going to be. I still think there's plenty, because I mean, you just look at how good of a passer he is, and how smart he is with the puck and how he can read a defense. The thing with him, he's also just like not the biggest dude in the world, and somehow still gets the net, but has tendency to get knocked off the puck here and there. But I mean, you just look at the high end skill and how he's been playing against guys that are like 4, 5, 6, 7 fucking years older than him his whole life. Like, it's crazy the production that he's had his whole career. So I really like the way he creates offense. So I still think he's going to go top 10 for sure, top 5 potentially. And I mean, we've just seen it from him for so long that I put him where I did. So lot to like about him. It's me interesting to see him actually probably be like Saginaw's number 1 guy on like looking like for offense this year. So it's be fun.
That's fun. Next one is going to be also fun to try and pronounce. Jacob Wozniak. How did I get?
Swedes, baby. That was pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
Really interesting player. So when I watch him, let me back up. Historically, he's been a center. I think, given his skill set, how he plays, he's more likely to be a wing that can play center if you're in a pinch. But he's a 6'3", 185, 190 pound forward who is an absolute sniper. Like, does not need time, does not need space. He's going to put it top corner every fucking time. Another guy that, like, you're convinced, like, it's a bouncing puck that he has on his stick. He's got 2 guys all over him. Somehow, every single time comes away with it. The big thing with him is the big question is, like, is he just going to be like a pure like power play sniper, power play specialist? I don't think so, because I mean, he has the size and he moves well enough that he can make himself a pretty useful player at both ends of the ice. But I think, if I remember correctly, he broke the record in terms of production as a 16-year-old in the U20 league in Sweden this year. Like, he was like 1.5 per game. The thing with thing with that is like Lulea was just loaded with these guys. Like they were putting up 6-7 goals a game every fucking time. But I mean, you look at it like a forward that's 6'3", as physical as he is, all the offensive skill in the world, and an absolute sniper to go along with it. Like he is a very, very intriguing prospect. So the big question is just like how often is he going to compete? And again, how much of it is going to come on the power play? But I don't really see that necessarily being too big of a factor anyways. But size, skill, the way he moves, and just the offensive upside is through the roof. So really, really like him a lot. And it's, again, Sweden, baby. But he's fun. He is an awesome player.
Now, tell me that number 7 is a fast skater. Or something about their game is fast.
Okay, so this is a funny one. So Roger McQueen, yeah, all name team. Next question.
Lightning McQueen.
See?
Hang on, we gotta pause on that. Did you see the video that went like viral during the NFL draft in Tennessee, where they like put all of the team logos up and would ask random passersby on Broadway, like what the team name was?
Good. So good. It's one of my favorites.
The Chargers, and the girl's like, "Oh, Lightning McQueen," and just the guy looks up at her like, "No."
I'm like, correct. That's absolutely correct. That's the only answer.
Correct. Here's your prize.
I mean, so with McQueen, I think he gets to top speed. Like he only needs a step or two. He's not going to be. I think he's also just more of a power forward. But so let me back up, I guess. So Roger McQueen, Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL. He's a 6'5" center. He is a heavy hitter, power forward. But the thing with him, like when I talked about, when it looks like a guy's dead to rights, like someone draped all over you, there's no way you could possibly get out of this situation with a puck on your stick. Not only does he come out with the puck on his stick, he somehow in half a second or one touch of the puck puts himself directly in front of the net with a grade A scoring chance, and 90% of the time converts. As a pure net front guy, he might be one of the best I've watched at the junior level. Like top 5. Like it's unbelievable how often he just has like a bouncing puck that he corrals in. Even like there was one this year that like he was net front. There was a shot that got deflected. It was up in the air. It was going behind the net. He somehow, with one hand, like in midair, tapped the puck back to himself and out of midair scored. Like it was insane. But another guy that like a 6'5" setter who can skate. The offensive upside is scary. Like the skill with the puck. Another guy that you can't give him a bad pass. And like I just it's unbelievable to me the situations he finds himself in that he somehow navigates out of, but like and then also just like in a prime offensive position and like how well he converts. If he has a breakaway, like pray for the goalie's ankles. Another one of those guys, and he is fucking mean. Like he is a prick to play against, and the fact that he's 6'5" with all the skill in the world. And he has that edge to his game. It's scary. I think we probably would have expected, just given the skill set that he has, maybe there would have been a little bit more production last year. But Brandon was a pretty weird team where they had like a bunch of just like grinders almost, but like just still made it work, still made the playoffs and made a decent enough run. But I could see him going closer to top 4, just given the tool set, the fact that he's 6'5" and how hard that he plays. So he's legit, man.
Dibs. I dibs him for the Pittsburgh Penguins this year. Dibs. So if that means they got to bottom out and pick 4th, so be it.
I think if he's consistent this year with his offense, I think he is going top 5 at least. Fuck.
All right, Penguins, you gotta really bottom out. Maybe you should let Sidney Crosby go somewhere else and chase cups.
There you
go. All right. Number 8. What do we got?
I love this player. Matthew Schaefer, left shot D-man for the Erie Bulldogs. Erie's another team with a couple guys that are projected to go anywhere like top 20 maybe. They're going to be another very fun team. So he is he's a 6'1", 165, 170 pounds, whatever. He probably, I think at the U18s as a draft -1, I think he was logging 26 minutes a night on that gold medal winning team. He played with Charlie Ellick, who just went to Columbus. I think, yeah, Columbus.
Holy shit, I like spaced on that. That's actually pretty good for them.
So this is a kid that was in his OHL draft year, drafted first overall by Erie. The thing with him that I kind of wanted to put up a little bit higher, but I just looked at like the tools of the other guys and whatever. But he is the third youngest player in this draft. He's 10 days shy of being eligible for the 2024 draft. Like, he's that young. And in terms of just like his approach to the game, how smart he is, the decision making, and the fact that like he's got the two-way ability and how well he skates. He's one of the best skating defensemen in a class of like high-end defensive skaters. The points are never, I don't think, going to jump off the page. I think there's more to be had than like what his stat line is now. But like, just in terms of his approach and how smart he is one of the most well-developed players, especially at this age, that we've seen come through the draft. Again, he is 10 fucking days shy of being eligible for this past draft, and he probably still would have gone pretty high. Like, it's so fun to see him pick the puck up from behind the net and just go. Like, he's a guy that his skating's so good, it looks like his legs aren't, it looks like he's just gliding. But he is flying at top speed. You cannot take the puck from in transition. And that's where a lot of his offensive value comes in too, where just like getting the puck from your own end into the offensive zone, especially like on the counter or just in transition in general, you're getting an offensive scoring chance. And like just 2 seconds ago, it was behind your own net. So I love Matthew Schaefer. I'm curious to see how teams feel about him, but the fact that he's as young as he is and he's as advanced as he is and how smart he already plays, he's definitely got like top 5, top 6 type upside. But he's only 6'1". He's not the most physically imposing guy, but he's aggressive in terms of when he closes the gap. Like when he goes to put pressure on you, it's always the right time. And you cannot shake him. And 99% of the time, he's coming away with the puck. So I was watching a bunch of his shifts. I think I almost had to like clip every single shift from the fucking silver medal and gold medal game at the U18s. Like, I did not make it more than, like, it was like 2 hours. Just like, holy shit. Like, clip that, label this clip. Like, it was insane. So, again, it's not going to be a guy that's going to be exciting if you're looking for like a big time power play, tons of points, making all these flashy plays. But like, just in terms of this, how smart he is, how well he moves, and just like some of the little plays that he makes, and just like the decision making, like I said, in terms of like closing gaps, when to be aggressive and really like apply pressure, he's fucking unbelievable. I think he has insane upside. And you can absolutely see why he got drafted first overall in his OHL draft class. And it's just crazy that he's as young as he is. Like, he's the third youngest player in the draft. Again, 10 days shy of being in 2024. Like, it's crazy. So I love Matthew Schaefer.
Okay. I mean, basically, do we assume that he's Austin Matthews? Just because of that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Even though it's a completely different position, completely different everything. But this next guy here at number 9 will either be decommitting in the near future or transferring next summer. Logan Hensler of the USNTDP headed to the, I don't know, do we call it the old folks home? Like, what's the funniest way to label it?
Yeah, the AARP club. I don't know.
Oh, he's going to work for Denny's.
Yeah. I mean, he's
OCB?
an older player.
OCB, Old Country Buffet.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. I'm gonna have so much fun making those jokes.
And that's where he will be playing this year. I confirmed that actually. I don't know why I bothered with the USNTDP, but that's where he's been playing. But he's going to Wisconsin this year. So I'll be curious to see if teams like him more than a guy like Matthew Schaefer, because he is 6'2", almost 200 pounds, and he's a right shot defenseman. But just another incredible skater, just super mobile, two-way D-man. His game's predicated more so on offense versus Schaefer's being more so on like the defensive game. But like legit offensive ability, really good playmaker from the back end. Looks like he projects to be able to like just run a power play at the next level. And the defending is fine. Like he uses his length, uses his reach really well. Again, he is super mobile, so that helps him defend in transition. The one thing I worry about is just like his in-zone defense, I guess. But he's not a guy that plays like super hard to play against, super physical, even though he is as big as he is. So it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like with Wisconsin, how much time he really gets, I guess. But I mean, like every once in a while I see him like engage physically along the boards or whatever. But again, he's not a guy that's like super imposing, but it's not fun to play against him because if you give him the puck, he's like, it's going to go in the back of your net. Like he is very good offensively, and his transition game solid. So like, it's just interesting to see how many of these defensemen now that are getting drafted high, like one of the first things that everyone says is their transition game, because that's just like where the NHL is going with the speed and like how much you rely on your defensemen for that part of the game. And like pretty much all the demon that we're going to be talking about here, that's the first thing everyone says. But yeah, a 6'2" right shot, looks like he can run a pro power play. He defends well enough, even though it's not, you'd like to see him engage more physically, which I think he can do. And like he's going to have to at Wisconsin. We'll see if he stays there. That's going to be fun to watch, but another really fun player out. And again, the fact that he is as big as he is, and the fact that he's a right shot that puts up legit offense, I wonder if teams look at that more favorably than a guy like Matthew Schaefer, even though I probably just like watching them both play. I think I might have like a pretty legit gap between the two. I just think Schaefer, with how young he is crazy. I mean, like Logan Hensler actually is only, I think, like a month older. Now I think about it.
Well, and
he's in October of 06.
I haven't watched these players, but I would argue that there's probably more room for Hensler to climb, like playing against older players, different type of competition in college versus Schaefer. Like Schaefer, if anything, will confirm what you know. Hensler is probably in a position to take a step or fall back more. Like he's got a lot more sway, whereas Schaefer is probably going to stay in a pretty similar spot for you.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I guess it's tough to say that I could see Schaefer like rising a ton. It's like, well, I have him at fucking 8.
Not a ton, but like
no, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just saying, like in my head, I was like, I could see Schaefer like, oh, wait a minute. I'm like, yeah, maybe not. But like, I guess that's not actually possible. But I mean, just like, I still put a pretty big, like at this time. I mean, we're talking in fucking July, I guess, but like.
It's the way too early rankings.
I love watching Schaefer. Like I was just watching. I was like, I could watch every single fucking shift like that he's made over the like all 80 games that he played last year.
Sure. Well, back to Canada. Erie Otters. Forward, which means center that'll probably become a wing. Who do we got at 10?
I think this kid is gonna. There are a couple guys with this type of mold. So this is great name, sneaky great name. Malcolm Spence, sneaky great name. So absolute raw power forward. So the interesting thing with him is like when you look at his offense, and again, he put up 62 points in 66 games this year as a draft -1 in the OHL on like a decent enough Erie team. I mean, realistically, he's gonna be just like a power left winger. I don't see like he doesn't drive an offense in terms of like skill and playmaking, whatever. Like he has a legit playmaking game, but not as a center. Like I'll explain in a second. But every team he's been on, including as like a draft -1, draft -2, he always wears a letter, and he is the biggest pain in the fucking ass to play against. I think the first 7 or 8 clips that I was watching was him going in on the forecheck, absolutely crushing somebody, taking the puck, stick handling around someone else and then just giving someone a dish backdoor. The other clips were him breaking up a pass on the penalty kill and then going in himself and scoring a breakaway goal. Like, he's got some legit hands. He's got some like sneaky skill, but the way that he can take over a game is just by being physically imposing and having that offensive instinct to like convert. Like, when you need a momentum shift and you throw him over the boards, it is 100% happening. And like, he kind of just plays with that, like the NHL attitude that these coaches just like love, where it's just like, I'm making a difference, not because I'm going to go stick handle around 5 guys and walk everyone and go backdoor or whatever. He is like, nobody is getting over the red line. If you have the puck and your back is to me, I am going to kill you. And like, it's just how he takes over games. So he's an absolute power two-way guy. Again, like, he is a solid defensive forward that doesn't necessarily need to rely on a ton of like just like dynamic offense to get points, but he's going to put up points at the next level. And I think he is super smart. So this is a guy that like, I think coaches are going to look at and like scouts are going to look at and be like, he's easy top 8-7, just like the way that he plays. Like, he plays a style that these fucking NHL GM scouts, coaches absolutely fall in love with. And he's as big as he is. And again, like, the skill is there, like the offensive production is there. It's just not like that dynamic offense where he's like, oh yeah, dual threat, goal scorer, playmaker. He's always going to put up legit offense, but at the same time, his calling card is the fact that he can take over a game just by being physically opposing. So it's very fun to watch him. And like, any fan base is going to be obsessed with this guy because he is just a fucking nightmare on the ice. Like, he's awesome. I love Alvin Spence. But I could see him going like above a couple of other guys who like their like calling card is just like dynamic elite skill or elite offense, just with his approach to the game and how he can take over physically.
Very compelling. This next one, you'll be excited to talk about based on where they'll be playing. I'm excited to just hear you pronounce this last name. Go off on number 11.
So another kid that played in the USHL this year. He's a Swedish implant. He's from Sweden, so he doesn't necessarily count as one of my boys.
How does BU keep getting the Euros?
I don't know, but he will be playing this year at BU. Sasha Boumediene. There you go.
Mnemone.
But another left shot D-man, 6'2", 190 pounds. Offensive upside through the roof. So he started this year hot in terms of putting up points from the back end. And then he cooled off a little bit. But he's an offensive D-man, really good on the power play. Another guy, though, that like one of his main calling cards at his size is the skating ability. His separation that he can get with 1 or 2 strides is scary. Like, he's going to be so fucking good at BU. He plays that like college hockey style too. But the thing about him, it's interesting. It's like he's a Finnish-born Swede who's playing his junior hockey in the USHL and going to BU. It's fucking crazy. That's Sasha Boumediene. But I mean, I would say like it's weird. Like, again, power play specialist is going to put up points. He looks like he can run a really good power play. At the same time, like, there's always going to be questions just about at the next level how far that like offensive skill can take him in terms of like putting up numbers. But again, the transition game and the fact that he's a solid enough defender, especially in transition, is going to get him far enough. And I really do think he's going to be so good at college hockey. But how he plays at that size, he's a really intriguing player. And really just interesting one. And just in terms of the fact that, again, like Finnish-born Swedish kid that played junior hockey in the USHL and is going to Boston University in his draft year. Like, it's just a fascinating profile all around, but really, really fucking good player. And again, just another guy with size that moves that well is always going to be a guy that goes early.
All very fair. Next one then, and gonna need you to tell me where they've committed, if they have. We've got a USNTDP boy, William Moore at number 12. I can pronounce that one. That's right. Fuck
Mhm.
off.
You'll never guess where he's going. He's gonna. He's not going in his draft year, but he is headed for Boston College.
Of course he is.
So he's going to be an interesting one. So he plays center. He's 6'2", 6'3", really good skater, decent enough offensive touch, really, really good goal scorer. I wouldn't necessarily say just like his raw skill and puck game is elite by any means, but another guy that's going to affect games just by being that like premier power forward again. And like when he plays at his size, his two-way game overall, like he projects to be pretty useful up and down your lineup. And just another guy that like very physically imposing, and he moves as well as he does at that size. I think he just has just such a knack for goal scoring and offense that even though he's not, again, like the dynamic or the offense isn't necessarily dynamic, but he just like makes it work. And I think there's a ton of room to grow. So I can see him climbing too. I mean, it's always interesting with him and a couple of these other players at this point, again, very early, but you'll see him like, I think Pronoman has him probably early 20s. And then you'll talk to other people who have him at like 7, 8. When you just look at the profile in terms of the size, how well he skates. Actually, we can do that.
Wait, I'm surprised though. Wait, you said he's got size, right?
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
Pronoman's got him early 20s. That throws my brain in a blender.
Yeah, no, it's a confusing one. You know, we're all thrown off by it. But again, plays center, 6'2", moves really well. While the offense or the puck skill, just like there's just like raw hands or whatever, isn't necessarily a leader dynamic. He just has a knack for the net and offense creation. So I think there's a lot of upside there, and like he's just now tapping into it. Like he didn't really get much of a look with the U18s this year. He played a lot with the U17s, and the U17s sucked. And he still put up crazy points. So I think it'll be interesting to watch him this year playing with the U18s before he heads to BC, of course. But anytime you have that profile of player that plays the way that he plays, it's going to be a very intriguing prospect.
Okay. I'm about it. Sucks that he's going to BC, but I'm not shocked. Another USNTDP guy who you're probably going to tell me is going to BC, but Charlie Trethewey.
He might. I can't. Oh, fuck. I forgot to actually include that in my profile.
I'm going to check this one.
Trethewey. I don't know if maybe he hasn't committed.
He might not be committed. I'm not seeing anything.
Hold on.
BU.
Yeah, there you go.
He's not going until 26, 27 projected.
Yeah, we'll see. So this is another guy that played primarily U17s. And I mean, in an environment that, again, U17s were not great this year with the program, but he still produced real well. So the right shot deep man, I should throw that out there. 6'1", 190. But again, his big calling card is going to be the offense. I think he projects to be like an offensive, like he's able to drive offense from the back end at a decent enough size, moves really, really well. But like his big thing is like he's such a fucking good passer. Like whether it's breaking out of his own zone, making that first pass, or again, like in the offensive zone, like unlocking defenses, finding seams, creating seams, really good vision. And he's got another guy with a solid shot. So I think he projects to be a top 4 D man with legit offense, and a guy with decent enough size, but again, moves so well. So really like him. And shocking, committed to BU.
Yeah, so shocking. Such a shock.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the way, spoiler alert, no more USNTDP, no more talk of Boston. This next one, the name almost like gives me like a weird feeling, like I'm trying to like clear my throat or I need to like sneeze or something. Like number 14, Caleb Desnoyers. Like it just feels weird to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's Desnoyers, but you know, it's fine.
Desnoyers?
Yeah.
With a Y? Interesting. I would have
Or-
thought like whenever it's the French
Danois.
Canada
Danois.
is the best Canada, there's usually an I instead of a Y.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
there was an I
maybe it's
there,
the
then
Wa.
I would have been on it.
It could be the Danois.
Denois.
Yeah, there you go.
Danois.
So
Danois.
really, really good. He plays Moncton Wildcats. QMJHL in his QMJHL draft year went first overall.
Denois.
Legit hands, legit playmaking, really good vision. So, and I'll go again. Another guy that one of his con cards is how strong a skater he is, and the fact that he can play in motion at top speed is scary. So again, just another guy that like at top speed in motion can pick apart a defense. The playmaking's legit, and he put up real good points in the Q this year. And again, he plays center, so that's always going to get you a few points. So, yeah, I put him. What did I put? There. God damn it.
14.
Yep, 14. So there you go.
Chris Kunitz.
Yeah. Let's
All right. We got 2 left, and this one will get Isha all tingly. Victoria Royals player at number 15, Cole Reshney.
So a bit of an undersized guy that plays center for Victoria, the WHL. And again, we've talked about how good of a team or not so good of a team Victoria was this year. He still played it and put up a point per game his rookie year with them. Another guy, he's really smart, super skilled, runs a really good power play as a center, which is impressive. Another guy that he's a very, very good skater. Edge work is top end. And another guy that like his highlight tape's very fun, makes a ton of top end plays. But the fact that he can create around in and around the net front, he can create from the circles, just a like borderline dynamic playmaker. And again, he's also useful in the back end as well. Like you'll see him a lot on the PK, and with Victoria, he's on the PK a lot. So another guy, just two-way, but like legit playmaking, legit high offensive upside. So really fun to watch. I could see him going closer to 10. Especially when you look at like the production and how many guys he did not have around him. Very intriguing player.
Okay, that's fun. This next one, to round it out, number 16, final of our way too early rankings, 2025 NHL draft for all lottery teams. This is the only one that I immediately stopped and like earmarked as potential all name team consideration. Kashawn Aitchison.
Oh yeah.
What a fun one.
I think his style as well will absolutely endear everybody. He will be on the all name team because his name's obviously great, but the player is fucking awesome. Again, another guy that I think the way that he plays paired with the fact that like he can put up legit offense and play huge minutes. So Bear in the OHL, left shot D-man, decent size, but insane compete level and a fucking prick. I think he put up 130 penalty minutes this year. He, depending on who you ask from the scouts or everyone that watched the U18s, he has an argument as like Canada's best defenseman at that tournament, which they won cold. And I think he put up 30, 40 points this year in the OHL as a rookie. So he's got the bite that NHL teams love, but he, again, really, really strong skater, legit hands, and he's really smart and he can make plays. But that bite, even if offense isn't going to be like his number one calling card, there's enough there to like, he's not just a guy that's going to be running around and like just killing people. But he can do that. He likes to do that. The compete level, again, off the charts. He can play huge minutes. And again, like just like there's so much untapped offense in there. I still think that like he could be a useful player that gives you secondary, tertiary offense from the back end. But I mean, that bite is going to be what NHL teams fall in love with. I think so there you go. I think Prime had him at 10, I think, off the top of my head. But a guy that I think is going to climb the rankings just the way that he plays. Again, I think Barry's going to be really good this year. They have got a couple of guys that are going to go high in this draft. And again, he already had such a good year this year as a draft -1. And he's only going to get better. So really fun player to watch. Another guy that's going to be very endearing for any fan base. But the fact that he can move as well as he moves, that he's got the hands and the offensive upside that he has, pair that with just how mean he is and how hard he competes, I think he's a very, very intriguing player. So there you go.
We did it. We did the thing.
Longest one in a while.
It was necessary. Plus, everyone should know in week and a half, 2 weeks, we will have a brand new feed specific to anything and everything under the Judd'z Budz Spoke Z banner. When it comes to podcast, you'll still get all the same YouTube content right here on the Sota Pod channel, but we plan, and there will be more planning, which is crazy to think from the two of us, but there will be planning. And each week we'll be dropping multiple episodes. If you join us for the live show, pretty much every episode will be included if you are deranged enough to stay along with us for the full 2-ish hours. But
There's got to be 2 people left.
We'll have anywhere from 2 to 4 episodes in a given week, depending on what our topics are, what the range is of things that we get into. This week, we're going to have 2 or 3 dropping, still on the Sota Pod channel, but cutting over August 1st, we will have a separate channel, whether it goes under Judd'z Budz, Spoke Z, something similar. We'll let you know. But making moves, moving up the charts. As soon as we drop it, we expect all of you to come over and immediately subscribe, 5-star review. Tell us whatever deranged things you want to tell us in the 5-star review. Just 5 stars, please. But, look at that. Here we go. Isha says lots of planning with a weird little face. I don't know why he does that.
He loves that. That's got to be his #1 used emoji. And it's always weird when he throws into our chat a really weird,
now
fight league.
Yes, but I'm proud of
it. Look at this guy get knocked the fuck out.
Hang on, though. This entire stream, I'm going all the way back to the beginning just to make sure so I don't misspeak. I don't think Isha has gone all caps. Oh, smash. He put all caps, smash that like button, everyone, at the very beginning. Outside of that, no all caps, and that is the Isha calling card. And that one actually made sense. Smash that like button. Usually he'll put all caps on a word where that you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. You gotta learn the all caps if you're gonna use it. But we joke. We love Isha. He makes all of this turn into a podcast somehow. We just show up and hit the record button and talk. So, here we go. Slap fighting is the only real sport. Isha agrees. Isha agrees wholeheartedly. Right behind wrestling as the #1.
Yeah, of course.
Wrestling is the best one. But yes, it's been something.
It is a thing that happened. It is happening and will continue to happen.
But we love it, don't we?
I think so.
Man, I'm surprised. And anyone that wants to engage, I'm getting even more notifications. Holy shit. The Wild posted at center ice or something like that. I'm not going to look up the exact post, but I quote tweeted it because it was 4 players who they're calling out as being the centers this year. Z, if the centers are locked in place, Ryan Hartman, Marco Rossi, Marat Huznadinov, Joel Eriksson-Ek, I want you to give me your perfect slotting of those 1C through 4C. What is your preference and what is your expectation? Go.
One C. I mean, it really, I guess, depends on the full line, but I mean, given those four, I guess Eriksson, Rossi, Hartman, Kuznetsov.
I mean, you can make assumptions on what you think the lines will shake out to be as well, but I'm similar to you. I actually flip it and I go Rossi, Ek, Hartman, Kuznetsov. What do you think is going to happen?
Hartman, Eriksson, Rossi, Kuznetsov.
Yeah, that's probably correct. No, Cosgrove, not Goudreau to the moon, Goudreau to Columbus.
To CEO and owner of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
But yeah, I think that's it. Let's fucking end it, dude.
He's silly. Still gonna end it.
Oh my god.
Nailed it.
Awful.
Nailed it. You know you liked it. Admit it. You hate that you loved it.
It's a hate-love. It's love-hate, you know. It's somewhere.
Still gonna
God
send
damn
it.
it. Fuck!